Hello and welcome to Hughes of the Earth. I'm Graham Hughes. Ta-da! And this is the Earth. The world. World. Did I say world? Did I say end? I don't know. I was sorry. I'm late, everyone. I was watching who was going to be the next Pope. It's kind of important. It's going to be Mr. Robert Prevost from Chicago. This guy from Chicago who's now going to be the next Pope. I have been led to believe. But there you go, the first American Pope, Robert Prevost, 69 years old. He's going to take the name Leo the 14th. The 14th Leo. There you go. I didn't need to know what star sign he was, really. I mean, okay. Right, anyway, big shout out to everyone in the chat. We've got Brett Wall in there. We've got Sarah Davis. We've got Anne Phillips. We've got Simon Smith. We've got Diz. We got Brett Wall, we've got Simon Smith, Diz, and Oliver Brown as well. We've got others. If you would like to join them, all you need to do is hit that subscribe button and then wait for a minute, and you'll be able to join while we talk about Ecuador. Yes, one of my favorite countries in the world. Ecuador is one of the most geographically and biologically diverse countries on Earth, from snow-capped Andean mountains to the steamy Amazon, the surf-lashed Pacific coast of the mythic Galápagos Islands. Ecuador packs an entire continent into the size of the UK. A true crossroads of cultures, climates, and cuisines. Ecuador is as vibrant in spirit as it is in scenery. So, 10 fascinating facts from Ecuador. First of all, it's named after the equator, which runs straight through the country, clearly. The Galápagos Islands, and Galapagos is one of my most favourite words of all time. I love it. Galapagos. What a lovely word. What a lovely word to say. The Galapagos Islands are part of Ecuador and were key to Chuck Dee's theory of evolution. Charlie Darwin there, born February the 9th, 1809. I think. Is that right? I think it's right. The same day, right? So get this, right? Charles Darwin was born on exactly the same day as another person who had a beard. Also had a state capital named after him. And also, they were very famous people from the 1800s. You know, two of the most influential figures of the 1800s. They don't just share the same birthday, but Charlie Darwin and Abraham Lincoln, both featured on banknotes as well, both born on exactly the same mother effing day. I think it's February the 12th, 1809, but someone might have to look that up. That's off the top of my head. Right, you're just showing off that you managed to pronounce Galapagos. Takes a lot. No, it doesn't. Galapagos. People say Galapagos all the time. There's a Smashing Pumpkins song called Galapagos on the Infinite Sadness album. Anyway, moving on. Ecuador was the first country in the world to constitutionally recognize rights for nature in 2008. You can also have breakfast if you want. You can have breakfast in the Amazon, lunch in the Andes, and dinner by the beach, all in one day. Quito is the second highest capital city in the world, with an elevation of 2,850 meters above sea level. The only higher capital city is La Paz in Bolivia. You could argue that Lhasa in Tibet is even higher, but unfortunately for Lhasa, it's not a capital anymore. The Panama hat, this is not a Panama hat, this is in the Cuba, but the Panama hat is actually from Ecuador. True story. I don't know why it's not called an Ecuador hat. It's called the Panama hat. They do sell them in Panama, but they're not originally from Panama. Ecuador has 4 distinct regions: the coast, the highlands, the Amazon, and Galapagos. It uses the US dollar as its official currency, so no need to change your money when you cross the border, usually. Home to over 25,000 plant species. More plant species per square kilometre than anywhere else on Earth. Ecuadorians eat guinea pig as a delicacy. It's called cuy. C-U-Y. And geographically, it is located on the northwest coast of South America. Ecuador borders Colombia, Peru, and the Pacific Ocean. Let's zoom in. Should we zoom in, shall we? Let's zoom in to Ecuador. So, South America here. Most of this is over here is Brazil, which we're going to make big. Can we make it big? Can we make the map bigger, please? Thank you. And can we get rid of this thing? Thank you. Right. It's hard to get caught up these days. There's Panama up there. You see Panama City. Above Ecuador is Colombia, and here we have Venezuela. Down here we have Peru, which I always think looks like a guinea pig, but upside down. And here we have Ecuador, and you can see the big cities. If I just pull out a little bit, Guayaquil and Quito are the two biggest cities in Ecuador. And if we zoom in a bit more, we can see. In fact, what I'll do is, just before we zoom in on this, if I change the layers a little bit and then zoom out, I think the equator appears. Ha-ha! There it is. See, now that's why it's called Ecuador, because it's on the equator. It's on the equator. But you might be forgiven for looking at this map and going, hang on, is that just a chunk that's been bitten out of Peru? And you'll be right, because it is a chunk that's been bitten out of Peru. It used to be part of Peru. Anyway, let's go back to the other map. Right, and over here, these are the Galápagos Islands. Please don't go there. I know that's a bit rich, coming from me of all people, to say don't go somewhere, but it is a place where the tourism isn't necessarily doing the ecosystem any good. And there's the Galapagos Islands. You can get a boat, I think, over from Ecuador, but most people fly in, which isn't good for the environment, etc., etc. So here we have Ecuador. There's the capital, Quito. There, I think it's the only capital city that begins with the letter Q. I don't know. Someone could look that up. Let me know in the chat if that is true. If I zoom in even more, you can see here. This is the south of the country, which is kind of like deserty. Like along here, I came across the border at Tumbes over here and Huquilas, and I came across the border here. I've done this a couple of times. I've done this journey a couple of times. I'll show you videos later. I've been to Guayaquil, and I've also been up here to Quito. And if I zoom in a bit more, I might be able to see where I'm going to show you later, where I take a very, very special train journey. Although I can't actually just pick it out on the map. Maybe I'll just look at that privately on my own without boring the rest of you to death with it. Anyway, so if you look along this part here, you can see it's really mountainous. And actually, Quito's up in the mountains. It's cool all year long. It's really, really one of the best capital cities for just a place where it's not too hot, it's not too cold. It is really in the Goldilocks zone is old Quito, right up here in the Andes Mountains, which stretch all the way from Venezuela up here, all the way through Colombia, through Ecuador, through Peru, and all the way down through Chile, up until they get to right the very tip of South America, the Tierra del Fuego. So yeah, Ecuador. What a place! What a place! It has the costa, which is the coastal plains along this part of the country, and also there's the Sierra, which is the Andean highlands, and then you've got the east, or the Oriente, which is over this side, which is the Amazon basin. So all this down here, this is all insanely green. Like, this is mega super duper green, lush. These are the headwaters of the Amazon coming down here and joining up to eventually become part of the Amazon itself, the mighty Amazon. And then we've got the islands, which are Galapagos over here. And you can see sort of, it's like an arm. It's like an arm reaching out to Galapagos, this, isn't it? Because that's the edge of a tectonic plate. Tectonic activity, it's quite can be quite extreme around here. Ecuador's no stranger to getting earthquakes now and again. And the major cities, like I said, are Quito and Guayaquil, which is the largest city. And it's also the port, would you believe it? Because you go up the Rio Gaias here, and you can actually get ships up and down there, so you can call it a port. I like a city on a river. That's support, you know. And this other place that popped up when I was zooming out here. This is Swansea. This is like a colonial gem in the south, and if you get the chance to go and see this for yourself, it is absolutely beautiful, and I would really recommend it. There's some pictures there. It's really quite phenomenal. Lovely. Right. Okay. So go away. I don't want other things to come up. Yes, and then there's Loja, and there's also Ambato, and also Ibarra, which are big places where people live. Where was I talking? I was just saying the equator crosses through, and the just north of Quito. So if we go onto that other layer, just give me 1 second. Go onto that other layer and zoom right out so the equator appears. I'll put a pin in the equator. There we go. And then we'll zoom back in again. Oh, the pins disappear. Why'd you make the pin disappear? Anyway, it's about here. In fact, if we zoom in, it might actually come up with where the monument is. It's north of the city. And it's a weirdly shaped city in a way, because most cities are kind of spherical and they grow out. But because it's in the mountains, it's like this is in a valley in Quito. It's a very long city. And it takes a long time to get around as a result, as you might be able to imagine. I'm just seeing if there's a thing here for the... There is a monument. Oh, there you go. Park Metropolitan. That looks like it could be the... No, the Equator Park? No. I was hoping there was going to be Equator Park, but it's not. Well, we'll find it one day. This is like playing... it's like playing GeoGuessr. There's a KFC. That's the important thing. I don't want the KFC. I want the bloody... there you go. Midad del Mundo. There you go. The Monument of the World. That's what we want. Here we go. Right, we will actually go and visit this from 23 years ago on a video that I'm going to show you in a bit. But before then, let's drop down on the Monument of the World. And it's a big ball on a stick. Here we go. Well, on a plinth, I guess. And if we go, it's the middle of the world. The middle of the world. And if we go over here and we zoom in on the names on here, it's the memorial of the Geodisic Expedition. The Geodisic Expedition that launched in the 1730s when this was still part of Peru, and it was the first international. Whoa, look at this, is cool. The first international scientific expedition of all time. There was actually two at the same time. One went to the equator. The other one was led by a guy called Celsius, and he went to Finland. He went up to as far as he could, North Lapland area, to try and get as close as they could to the North Pole back then, the 1730s. And the object was to measure the exact shape of the Earth. There was an argument over whether the Earth was a prolate spheroid or an oblate spheroid. So basically, does it bulge around the equator or does it bulge at the poles? The French school of thinking was that it bulged at the poles. The British school of thinking was that it bulged at the equator. The British school was influenced by the work of Isaac Newton, and the French school was based on the works. It was prejudiced by the work of Cassini, who was Italian, but I think he ended up being a naturalized French citizen in the end. So you had the academy, the French Academy, versus the Royal Society. And so they decided to sort it out once and for all by measuring an arc of the meridian at the equator. And this monument, this is a tribute to the men who carried out that particular task. And I was hoping that I could be on the side with their names on it, so I could read the names out. The Jean-Marie de la Condamine. There should be Louis Gaudin. No, I don't want that one. I don't want that. Go over there. Go over that one. Go over that side. Go over there. Let me see. No. So that's really irritating, that we can't see the side with the names on? Yes, we can. There you go. Drop in there. Drop in there. Where's the bloody names? Right, here we go. Geodisic. This is to celebrate the Geodisic French-Spanish expedition to the latitudes, and it doesn't actually have the names. Sorry, I'm getting angry now. Come on. It's like in what's that show called with where they ask questions? University Challenge. It's like, come on. You know this. So there you go. This has actually been cut. There's actually a little seam there. Pedro Vincent Maldonado was one of the men on the expedition. He was one of the he wasn't actually a scientist, Maldonado. He was like a security guy. He was like providing security for the scientists at the time, which is kind of cute. But I love this symbol here, which is one of the instruments that they used. And yeah, that's the con los academidos, with the academics. So it's like a tribute to one of the security guys who came with the academics. Well, I'm a bit surprised that I can't see the names on there. It is a bit annoying that they've managed to sort of crop it out in a way. That's a bit rubbish, isn't it? No. 1735. It actually took them about 5 bloody years to do all this measuring, because an arc of the meridian is not the easiest thing. And look, they've got a nice big N and a nice big S there, so you can put 1 foot. You can stand on this line here. There's a line going through. You can stand in there, and it'll and you can stand in both hemispheres at the same time. See this yellow line on the floor? So this person here is standing. Oh look, is that a mask? What is that on the floor? So basically, you're standing 1 foot in the northern hemisphere on this side and 1 foot in the southern hemisphere on this side, which I think is really cool. I think it's very, very cool. Can't read what it says on there, but never mind. I know the people. But there you go, the middle of the world. And then we'll go to a little bit of oh my God, what is even happening here? Oh, it's gone all funny. I don't want 3D. You can see though why the city is the shape it is. Look at these mountains on either side. Can you see them? And then the city's sort of sandwiched in the middle of the mountains, which in a way is kind of cool. But it's why it's such a funny shape compared with other places. If we zoom in here, you can see it's quite densely populated. And then there's the Plaza de Santo Domingo here. If I just drop my little man in there. There we go. Oh, I remember being here. Oh, yes, I remember that. I think that's actually the cathedral, I think that might be the cathedral. I'm not sure. It might just be a church. But yeah, there's lots of lovely old colonial buildings, which actually got restored just not that long ago, actually. The first time I went to Ecuador, it didn't look quite this nice. And it's got a lot nicer. The second time I went, it was a lot nicer. You can see like the sort of character of the place. It's got very tiny little roads, so it's all one way, and that's because clearly, it's a 300-year-old city. So what do you expect? Freeways, not gonna have it. Yeah, and then there's loads of like little pedestrianized streets like this that you can go down, and they have cafes along them. It's just I really love it. I absolutely love it. I would really, I know I always say this on Hughes of the World, but it's one of the places that I'd really recommend to visit, except when there's a bloody van in the way. Can you go away, van? Van, can you go away? Thank you. So we can zoom out now. But yeah, that's the cultural guest house. And you can see where the old railway used to come in and all that. It's really cool. It's a really cool city. And it's a really, really cool place, Ecuador. Literally, it's cool because it's up in the mountains. Well, when you're up in the mountains, it's cool. When you're down in the wrong way. When you're down in the Amazon, it's pretty hot. It's pretty hot. So anyway, moving on. The climate, like I said, the climate varies dramatically by region, and so you have it's very tropical on the coast and in the Amazon. The Galapagos has a dry season from June to November each year, and it has a wet season, which goes from about December to May. The time zone is UTC -5 or GMT -5, which is the same as US Eastern Standard Time. And this is something that a lot of people forget when they look at the globe of the map of the world, because if you have a look at where South America is, nearly all of it is actually to the east of America. You draw a straight line from New York and it goes to Ecuador. Do you know what I mean? Like if you draw a straight line down from Florida, it doesn't touch South America. South America's all this way over to the east, and America is all that way over to the west. It's worth remembering. When you're drawing a map from memory, I guess. When you're drawing it, I think many of you do that, but if you do, they are indeed insane, says Anne. Ooh. Actually, lizard men landed on Earth 67 years ago and impregnated Earth women. I owe my existence to that. Ooh, kinky. Okay, so Quito is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's known for its colonial architecture, the churches, and its volcanic setting. The city sits in the valley that I've just shown you, surrounded by snow-capped volcanoes, which makes it just like this really... I can think of Quito, Beirut, Santiago in Chile, Tehran in Iran, a few cities that I've been to, and the backdrop is mountains, and it's the coolest thing. Because you go to a lot of cities, and they're not very dramatic looking. They're flat, and they might have some tall, god-awful buildings, but that's about it. But when you walk around somewhere like Quito or Santiago or even Tehran, you feel like there's a depth to it. There's a depth to everywhere because you're surrounded by mountains. It's really, really cool. So yeah, Ecuador is one of 17 mega diverse countries as allocated by UNESCO. And it's got over 1,500 species of birds, 350 mammals, and thousands of reptiles and amphibians. It's home to the Yasuni National Park, one of the most biodiverse places on the entire planet. It does have environmental issues, though. We have deforestation, oil drilling in the Amazon, and plastic pollution in the Galápagos. So can I just say to people who love throwing plastic and stuff on the floor, can you stop it? Especially smokers, can you stop throwing your cigarette butts on the floor? Because there's a good chance that cigarette butt's going to end up in the stomach of a tortoise in Galápagos. I know you're thinking, how could it get that far? But believe me, that stuff never dies. It just never dies. It continues to float around the world till the heat death of the universe by the looks of things. Like I said, since 2000, it's just used the American dollar. Coins are both, you can use coins that are minted locally. That they're called centavos, and they're kind of used interchangeably with dollars, with American change. However, the notes, they don't have any notes of their own. The notes are all American. Same thing that happens in Panama, where they use the US dollar, but they call it the Balboa, as in Rocky Balboa. They use that, and you can get a Balboa coin, which I like better than US dollars, because although this particular US dollar here is nice and shiny and kind and new, that's quite unusual. Normally, your $1 bills are so manky. They give you 17 different diseases just by touching them. Clearly, they drive on the right, as do most places in the Americas, except Guyana, and I think Belize drives on the left as well. And there's some countries in the Caribbean who drive on the left, but mostly it's all people who drive on the right, so they drive on the right. The flag, my friend here, this little flag, 3 horizontal stripes. The yellow is double top width. And then there's blue and red. The yellow represents sun, gold, and crops. The blue represents the sky and the sea. And the red represents, say it with me, the blood of the heroes. Yeah. The coat of arms in the middle involves a condor, volcano, a river, a sun over the zodiac. So yeah, that's that's what they wanted to have, I guess. I don't know why. It's just the way they set it up. Anyway, so the national anthem, which we should come to. Should we do the national anthem? You always love it when I do the national anthem of places, don't you? I'm sure you do. Should we do it? Come on then. Come on. Let's go over to the other feed. Let's go over. Right. Join in with me. Are you going to sing along? You're going to sing along at home? Okay, let's do this. Let's do it. This is the theme tune of Ecuador. Oh, I like it. Oh, I like it. It's a bit Monty Python, isn't it? This is great.
Mil veces, oh patria, gloria a ti, gloria a ti. Y a tu pecho rebosa, oh si patria, tu pecho rebosa. Y tu frente radiosa, hasta el sol contemplamos lucir. Y tu frente radiosa, hasta el sol contemplamos.
I like it. I like it. Circus music.
Dios miró y aceptó el holocausto, y esa sangre fue el germen fecundo de otros héroes que atónito el mundo en tu corpo a millares surgir, a millares salve patria.
Okay, it's going on a bit now. I'm going to turn that off. Gloria a ti. Oh, wow. That is cool. I like that. I really like that. That was cool. I liked it. That was a fun national anthem. God, we do these national anthems each week, and it just makes ours sound so fucking dour, doesn't it? Anyway, but there you go. I like that one. I like that one too, SG. So yeah, it's all good. It means "Hail, O Fatherland," "Salve, O Patria." So it was written by Juan Leo Mera, and it was composed by Antonio Newmani. And it's a soaring, patriotic hymn performed with a full orchestral flourish. I love the umpa at the sound of it. That was really good. So let's talk about the population and society. The population's around 18 million. That was the figures in 2023. The major ethnic groups, Mestizo, make up the vast number of people. That's the mixed race, if you like. That's 70% of the population. Indigenous make up 7% of the population. Afro-Ecuadorian make up about 7% of the population. And you've got 6% are white. They are a highly urbanized population, which with very large cities in large populations in Quito and Guayaquil. The official language is Spanish, but there are also vernacular languages like Quechua and Suha, which are recognized regionally. There are 13 indigenous languages still spoken, especially in Amazon and Andean communities, including one that involves sending a message through knots, which featured in the new Paddington movie, Paddington in Peru. They mentioned this way of communicating by knots. The way you tie something actually sends a message. And it's really clever. And I was watching Paddington, and I went, "That's going to be this language that's written in knots." And everyone, the rest of my family's like looking at me, going, "What are you even talking about, Graham?" And I'm like, "No, it's a language they have in South America, and it's like knots, and you can read the knots, and it reads out a message." And everyone's like, "What? Where'd you make up this stuff?" I'm like, "No, I'm not making it up." Anyway, it's real. I was right. It was real. I'm just gonna say, just for everyone who's watching. I know Kat's not watching this right now, but I was right. I love that Anne says, I strongly advise you not to read my messages before checking them first because some of them are quite barking. Well, I don't have time to, because if I read someone's message, I have to just stare at it for like 30 seconds, not saying anything. Well, it doesn't take me that long to read, but I mean, a few seconds of absolute silence. And there's a couple of problems with that. One is I don't like leaving you in, it's like an awkward pause. Do you know what I mean? If we were out having dinner or something, and just awkward pause. And secondly, ADHD. Yeah, so just be careful what you write. Be careful what you wish for. Anyway, the religion there is Roman Catholicism, so they're going to be happy about the new Pope being elected. The evangelical churches are growing there, though, because there's a lot of missionaries coming down from America. So you've got your Seventh-day Adventists, and you've got your Mormons, and you've got your Jehovah's Witnesses going down. And yeah. Indigenous beliefs are often fused with Christianity in rural areas. And the culture and lifestyle there, there's a strong indigenous and Spanish influence, the importance of family, community, festivals, and traditional dress. Market culture, the handicrafts and alpaca wool and tangu nut jewelry. They love football, they love music, dance, food, all very connected and central to everyday life. Football is king. The national team has qualified for the World Cup multiple times, never won it, unlike Uruguay, that's won it twice. But mountain climbing, surfing, and cycling are also popular there. Ecuadorians excel in Olympic walking and weightlifting. More you know. The major newspapers are El Comercio and El Universo, as well as the Expresso. And it is Expresso. EX. So, if someone calls you out, right, and says, no, you idiot, it's not Expresso, it's Espresso. You say, no, I wasn't talking about the coffee. I was talking about the newspaper from Ecuador, actually. In your face, Mr. Pedantic. It's Mr. Pedant, actually. Anyway, so moving on. They have a mixture of public and private TV networks, but online media obviously is growing rapidly, as it is all over the world. Press freedom has improved since 2017, but it does still remain a concern. Now, when we talk about the art and the architecture there, we have to talk about the ceramics, the weaving, the goldsmithing, which goes back way before. That's pre-Columbian days. That's before Columbus turned up. That's before the conquistadors, which I'll come to later, turned up. So this is something that is really, really ingrained in the heritage of the people of Ecuador. Colonial churches and convents, especially in Quito and Cuenca, are absolutely spectacular, and indigenous art is vibrant and highly symbolic. Modern Ecuadorian artists include Oswaldo. What's his name? Oswaldo. Gaia Salminen. That's his name. Gaia Salminen. Who's rather famous. So there's also if you're going to look at food and drink in the country, you've got ceviche, which is like raw fish in vinegar. It's like cooks in the vinegar. You have loads of vinegar in there and spices and stuff, and it's absolutely delicious. I love ceviche. Then you've got locro de papa, which is potato soup, which is big over there. Also, you have guatita. You have Jaeger Locro, and you also have Hornado. Along the coast, they have a lot of amazing cuisine like seafood, obviously. Plantains, huge, and coconut rice, absolutely delicious. Up in the highlands, it's more corn, potatoes, and pork. They love their pork. What can I say? The koi, the guinea pig I mentioned earlier, is a delicacy not just in Ecuador, but all along the Andes. So it's something you can eat in Peru and other places as well. The drinks, the hot spiced rum is absolutely delicious. It's called something like canelazo, I think. And then you've got aqua panela and chiquita, and excellent coffee and chocolate. They have a drink there, which they have in a lot of countries in South America, called submarino, and it's like hot milk, and they put a chocolate bar in it, and the chocolate bar melts, and you get hot chocolates, and they're brilliant. They have an Inca festival called the Inti Raimi, and they also have and that's like a sun festival that they have in June. So I think that lines up with maybe the longest day or something. But I don't know how quite that works when you live on the equator. But yeah, mid-June they have a big Inca festival, and they also have obviously Holy Week and Carnival in February, Mardi Gras. And they have nationwide water fights during Carnival, which is really fun to be there for. They have the Dia de los Difuntos, which is the Day of the Dead, and it's slightly different from the Mexican Day of the Dead because it's infused with indigenous beliefs and indigenous traditions and all that kind of stuff. Also, they have the day when there's a Festas. Is it Festas? Yeah, Festas de Quito, which is in December, which is a festival just for Quito. But also in January, when I was there, it was the Festival of the Three Kings, the Tres Rios, which is the celebration of the coming of the Three Kings to present the presents to baby Jesus. And what happens is, like in Spain, on this day, they have like floats going down the road, and they throw sweets out to the kids. So all the kids come out, and they stand at the side of the road, and they cheer, and they throw sweets out to the kids. It's really sweet. So there's a few films that are out that are Ecuadorian. We have Crónicas, which came out in 2004, Ratas, Rontes, and Rateros, which came out in 1999. And we have Que Tan Lejos, which came out in 2006. Ecuadorian cinema often focuses on social issues and identity. In literature, notable authors include Jorge Iqueza, Alicia Hannes Cosio, and Huiken Galeos Lara. Themes of class struggle and indigenous rights and national identity are very much bound up in those genres. So yeah, what's there to do? Well, Galapagos Islands, but I said don't go there. So go instead to Quito's historical center. Go to the volcano. So Cotopaxi, or I don't know if the X is pronounced like that, because I'll just say Cotopaxi, but I might be pronouncing that wrong, because I know in in Mexico, X is spelled like pronounced like a ch noise. So what looks like Uxmal is pronounced Ushmal. So yeah, I don't know. Which makes it really funny if you call Twitter kind of like Xitter, because in Mexican Spanish it'd be pronounced shitter. The Baños de Agua Santa, which is the adventure capital, if you want to go there. There's also Cuenca, which is the UNESCO colonial city. And there's also the Otavalo Market. The Otavalo Market. And then you've got amazing wildlife tours in the Amazon, but only take what only steal what you already own or something. Leave no trace. Leave only footprints. In fact, don't even leave them. Clear up your footprints after yourself. Just if you go down to the Amazon, just be aware that it is a very delicate ecosystem at the moment, and it's taking a hell of a battering from the big logging firms and the farm companies and all that kind of nonsense. Anyway, there's also the potential to go whale watching off the coast. Puerto Lopez is a great place to do that. And typical costs for a backpacker, you're looking at about $25 to $40 a day. You do it cheaper than that if you couch surf and you just eat the street food. Mid-range, you're looking at about $60 to $100 a day. And high end, you're looking at over $150 a day. It's still pretty cheap. Travel warnings, it's generally safe, but beware pickpocketing in cities. There are multiple protests. I think when I've been there's been a protest. I've seen like 2 protests. They're into their roadblocks in Ecuador, just like in other countries in Latin America, including Panama. When you have a country where there's like only one road to get places and to connect to major areas, a roadblock is like an absolute no-brainer for making sure that you get your point across. And it's not like in the UK where there's always another road. There's always a way of going around the roadblock, so what's the point? But in places like Panama and places like Ecuador, there might just be the one road. And if you block it, people can't get through. The other thing to worry about when you're in Ecuador is altitude sickness, because it does get very, very high up in those old Andes. They're very tall mountains. And so I've had horrific altitude sickness twice in my life. Once was crossing the Andes from Bolivia into Peru. Felt like my head was in a vice. And the other time was when I went from Kathmandu in Nepal over into Tibet, which involved going like crazy altitudes to get over the Himalayas. You're talking about 4,000, 5,000 meters above sea level. And what you're supposed to do is supposed to travel high and then sleep low. So you go up to a point and then you come down a bit, and you go up to a point a bit higher and then you go down a bit. And sometimes it just doesn't work out that way for whatever reason. Altitude sickness is not fun. It's like the worst headache you could possibly imagine. There's also dengue fever and Zika in tropical areas. As far as gay and lesbian travelers are concerned, legal protections exist, and same-sex marriage has been legal in Ecuador since 2019. So, like most countries in the world, they're kind of getting there, but some countries keep taking steps back. Like, I don't know, ours. Quito and Guayaquil have growing LGBTQ plus scenes where we're checking out. And you know, look at that flag. It's almost a rainbow flag, isn't it? The public displays of affection may attract unwanted attention in rural areas. So, but you know, yeah, you get that with heterosexual couples in some of these places, don't you? Anyway, so getting there on the way, the major airports include Quito and Guayaquil. Also Baltra. This is the way to get to the Galápagos, although I would recommend not going to the Galápagos just because, you know, just go and watch it on the next David Attenborough show. He's done shows about the Galápagos. Also, happy birthday today to Sir David Attenborough, and also happy birthday, Phil. Uncle Phil, it's his birthday today. So if you want to just go over to Phil's channel and say, "Hey Phil, I hear it's your birthday. Happy birthday." That would be cool. You can do that if you want. If you don't want to, that's up to you. But yeah, it is for Phil Morehouse's birthday today. So yeah, obviously there's overland crossings with Peru and Colombia, which it's only neighbors, as you saw on the map. And boats to Galapagos leave from Guayaquil or Santa Cruz. Most nationalities can enter visa-free for up to 90 days. Extensions are possible, and special visas for retirees and digital nomads exist. For vaccines, you need your yellow fever. Get your yellow fever. Don't mess around. Get your yellow fever. Also, typhoid, hepatitis A and B is also recommended. Malaria is very much embedded in some Amazon areas. If you're not going down to the Amazon, don't worry about it. But they do have high-quality hospitals in Quito and Guayaquil, so you're not going to die from a snake bite, possibly. Tap water is not safe to drink outside of major cities. Right, let's get into it. Okay, keep your spanner handy. Keep your spanner handy, pagan. Happy birthday, Phil Morehouse, says Sarah. It's his birthday, and it's V-Day. It's V-Day. It's New Pope Day. And it's David Attenborough's birthday. He's 99. He's 99 and he's still making TV shows. Oh, my idol. Anyway, so let's talk about the history of Ecuador. And so Ecuador, the earliest civilizations, we know the earliest human presence in what is now Ecuador dates back to around 10,000 BC, with archaeological finds from cultures like the Las Vegas, or on the coast, and the Inca people in the highlands. One of the most significant early cultures was the Valdivia culture, which was between about 3,500 to about 1,500 BC. That was one of the oldest settled cultures in the Americas. It was based on the coast, and the Valdivians, they developed ceramic pottery, agriculture, and lived in circular communal houses. Other notable early cultures include the Chohara, culture, which was from around, I don't know, about 1000 BC to about 300 BC, which was known for whistling ceramics and long distance trade. I don't know if that's like they made the ceramics whistle or they whistled and that was I don't know, whistling ceramics. And the Bahia and La Tolida cultures, they were from about 600 BC to about 300 BC. They crafted intricate gold jewelry and metalwork, amongst the first in South America to use lost wax casings. And then you had the Cañari people in the highlands. They were advanced agriculturalists who put terracing out on the mountainside. So you had like big fuck off steps going down, and each step had agriculture, had stuff growing in it, with irrigation channels, building stone settlements, and revering lunar deities. And then we had the Inca Expansion, which went from around 1460 to 1532 CE. I think I've skipped a bit there. I have a feeling I may have skipped a bit. Just give me a moment. Don't want to do that, do you? That'd be really shit. Simon Smith, V-Day tomorrow in the UK Channel Islands, aka Liberation Day, and they do it right, a national holiday. Well, yeah, that's because I only found out this today by listening to Dan the History Guy on James O'Brien, that the Channel Islands wasn't actually liberated until a day after VE Day. How mad is that? I wasn't expecting that, but there you go. That's what happened. So yeah, ancient civilizations. Yeah, I talked about that. Yeah. So that takes us up to about 500 AD, and then from 1460 to 1532 we had the age of the Inca Expansion. By the mid 15th century, the powerful Inca Empire began expanding northward from Cusco to modern day Peru under their leader, who was called Pachacuti. And his son, Tupac. No, honestly, Tupac. The Inca annexed most of modern-day Ecuador by force and diplomacy. The Inca faced fierce resistance from the Cañari, who allied with the Spanish, when the Spanish conquistadors arrived. The Inca imposed Quechua as the administrative language, which is still spoken in Ecuador today. Quito was established as a key northern outpost and regional capital of the empire. The region was integrated into the Incan road system, allowing military and economic control. And then there was a civil war with the Incas, the Inca emperor Huayna Capac. He died likely of smallpox near Quito, and where he'd been fighting and where he'd been campaigning. His sons Huasca and Atahualpa, easy for you to say, fought a brutal civil war over the succession. So, the king dies, the Inca king dies, and his sons decide they're going to fight each other. And some people join one side and some people join the other. We have a civil war over who gets to be king. You don't want to fight a civil war over who gets to be king on behalf of someone else. If you're not going to be the person who's going to be king, what's the point? Anyway, Huascar ruled from Cusco, and Atahualpa, who was born in Quito, ruled the northern faction. Anyway, Atahualpa eventually won and consolidated controls just months before the Spanish arrived. Anyway, so you had the Inca Empire, which had been trucking along for over 1,000 years, and then finally they start expanding in the sort of the 1500s. They start expanding and they create this empire. And no sooner had they done that than along come the bloody Spanish in 1531. Francisco Pizarro, one of the most evil men ever ever to have existed, arrived on the coast of Ecuador with Spanish conquistadors exploiting divisions caused by the Inca Civil War. In 1532, Atahualpa was captured in Cajamarca and later executed by the Spanish, despite the Inca paying an absolutely enormous ransom in gold and silver. So what Pizarro actually asked in order for the Inca people to be given their king back is a room of gold. He wanted a room of gold. There was this idea of El Dorado, that the Incas, they ate gold. That's what they said. They ate gold. They had so much gold coming out of everywhere. And so what they ended up doing, they got all the gold from like all across the empire, the Inca Empire, and they got it all together. They filled an entire room of gold, and it was all the gold they had. And Pizarro went, "Thanks for that. Do you want your king back now? Tough, I'm going to kill him." Which they did. And they kept the gold. Yay, history! Although the heart of the Inca resistance was in Peru, the Ecuadorian highlands saw brutal fighting between Inca loyalists and the Spanish. In 1854, Spanish forces led by Sebastian de Belalcazar. Oh God, how am I going to say this? Sebastian del Belalcazar. It's almost like Belcazar, but it's got a lal in the middle of it, which is throwing me off. So let's say Belalcazar. There you go. Sebastian de Belalcazar and Diego de Almagro. They established the city of Quito on the ruins of the Inca city that was originally there. Quito became a strategic colonial city in the Andalusia of Quito under the Viceroy of Peru and later the Viceroyalty of New Granada. The Spanish imposed Catholicism, the Spanish language, and the encomienda system, which was forced labor, slavery, basically, and land redistribution to, the rich landed Spanish elites. Indigenous people were subjected to slavery, disease, and massive cultural disruption. Millions perished in the first century of colonization. Jesuits, Franciscans, and Dominicans built monasteries, churches, and schools, especially in Quito, which became a major source of education and theology in the Andes. The Spanish colonial administration from sort of 1534 to 1717, after the conquest, the territory of modern Ecuador was folded into the Real Andalucía, Real Andiencia de Quito, which was created in 1563. Initially, it was part of the Viceroyalty of Peru, governed from Lima, which meant decisions affecting Quito were being made from a place 2,000 kilometers away. The Audiencia had legal, administrative, and ecclesiastical autonomy, covering not just Ecuador, but parts of southern Colombia, northern Peru, and even western Brazil. Because it wasn't quite clear where the demarcation was in the jungle between these countries. The Pope had said that anything to the right of a particular line of longitude was Portuguese, and anything to the left of that was Spanish, but it didn't quite work out that way. But yeah, Quito became a hub of religious, cultural, and intellectual life, especially under the Jesuits, who founded the University of San Gregorio Magno, which was founded in 1622, I think, and the Quito School of Art, famous for its Baroque architecture and Mestizo artistic style, or Mestizo artistic style. The Quito School produced master sculptors and painters such as Bernardo de la Garda and Manuel Chili, and they blended Catholic iconography with indigenous aesthetics. And the economy was based on agriculture, textiles, cacao, forced indigenous labor under the encomienda system. Much of the highland economy revolved around obrejes, I should say, which was sweatshop style textile workshops. Cacao production on the coast became increasingly important by the 17th and 18th century, especially around Guayaquil, which also became a major shipyard and port up the river there. The indigenous populations plummeted due to smallpox, measles, and overwork. They were worked to death by the colonial overlords. So then in 1717, the Spanish crown created the Viceroyalty of New Granada, which centered in Bogota, which took over jurisdiction for Quito. So they were being, if you look at the map, in fact, should we get the map back up so I can show you this? Let's just give me a moment while I just, I want to get rid of this search. It's giving me a search thing. What's this search thing for? Oh, no, didn't want to do that. I do that, get rid of it. Sorry about this, everyone. It's just got this search Google Maps, and I don't want it to have this search Google Maps thing. I don't want to search anything. Will you go away? Close. Show sidebar. No. Close. Oh, it's still showing the search Google Map thing. I can't do anything about it, but you know, you'll get the idea. Right, okay, so if we go down here to Ecuador, you can see it used to be run from Lima in Peru, which was like miles down that way. And then it started getting run by Bogota, which wasn't that much closer, really, when you look at it. There's Bogota, there's Quito, and there's Peru. So you can see why they were a little bit like, it took days. It took weeks to get from one place to the other along the mountain chain. It was a bit of a slog. Do you think about you trying to do that stuff on horseback or in a horse and cart even? I mean, come on. Good luck with that. That's all I can say. So, yeah. It didn't... Oh, I wasn't right. Stop it. Clearly a great passion for travel information. Graham should be arranging bespoke adventure holidays. I'd love to do that, Brett. I'd absolutely love to do that and take people out to these places and show them around, but I think I need a manager. Anyway, so yes, they took over Bogota in what's now Colombia, took over jurisdiction from Quito. And this created sort of this meant that you got these shifting boundaries, shifting borders. Quito's merchants resented this new alignment as they were forced into less profitable trade routes and they lost some of their autonomy. Frustration simmered away amongst these local criollos, the American-born Spaniards who were barred from top positions despite their wealth and education. And indigenous rebellions and slave revolts also increased throughout the 18th century. The first cry of independence was on August the 10th, 1809, inspired by the American and French revolutions. A group of Criollo intellectuals in Quito staged a political uprising on August the 10th, 1809. So that's the same year that Charlie Darwin was born and baby Lincoln. Or Abraham, because he was baby Lincoln before he was Abraham Lincoln, you see. He was Abraham Lincoln. He was Babraham Lincoln. Anyway, yeah, 1809. Good year to be born. There was a political uprising and they declared a local junta. Though short-lived, the rebellion was crushed by 1810, so it only lasted less than a year. August the 10th is celebrated as Ecuador's first cry of independence. Spanish forces brutally suppressed the movement in August 1810, executing many of the conspirators in public squares, to try and stop people from doing that kind of thing in the future. Didn't work, though. Further independence movements rattled on. Revolutionary sentiment spread throughout the region, aided by Simon Bolivar, whose name will come up a lot when we talk about these countries, in the north, and Jose de San Martin in the south. Guayaquil, a more liberal and trade-oriented city than Quito, declared independent itself on October the 9th, 1820. Fighting intensified between royalists and patriots in the Sierra, and the final liberation came with the Battle of the Pichincha on May the 24th, 1822, when General Antonio José de Sucre led a decisive victory on the slopes of Volcan Pichincha above Quito. That's the name of the big volcano. You'll see these names. You'll see Simon Bolivar. You go to Bocas del Toro in Panama, you go to the park in the middle of town, and it's the Simon Bolivar Park. It's named after Simon Bolivar. Bolivia is named after Simon Bolivar. Venezuela is known as the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. That's its full title. And you'll see Sucre a lot. So Sucre is one of the biggest cities in Bolivia, for instance. And so a lot of these countries have this shared history, and they all kind of got independence around the same time because they were throwing off the same colonial overlords. Ecuador was effectively liberated from Spanish control and joined the short-lived Republic of Gran Colombia. So the Gran Colombia period lasted for 8 years, from 1822 to about 1830. After independence of the territory of modern Ecuador was absorbed into Gran Colombia, a union including Colombia, Venezuela, and Panama, led by Simon Bolivar. Quito, Cuenca, and Guayaquil were merged as what they called the departments of the South. But soon, deep divisions emerged, regional rivalries, differences over centralization, and local economic interests clashed. Ecuadorian leaders like Jose Huiquén de Olmedo and of Guayaquil and Vincent Rocafuerte. What a name, Rocafuerte. Oh, I'm changing my name to Vincent Rocafuerte. I can't be bothered being Graham Hughes anymore. It's boring. They pushed for greater autonomy. In 1830, after Bolivar's resignation and the collapse of Gran Colombia, Ecuador declared itself an independent republic, marking the beginning of its modern national history. And then we had the founding of the republic from 1830 to 1859. In 1830, Ecuador separated from Gran Colombia and became an independent republic under General Juan José Flores, a Venezuelan-born military officer. And I'm just going to have to do something here. Done. Okay. There's a knock on the door. I can't answer it, and Kat can't hear it. I hate these situations. Why is someone knocking? Why do people do that? Why do people come to people's houses anymore? Haven't they got better things to do? No, clearly not. Anyway, Flores was Ecuador's first president, serving 3 terms from 1830 to 1834, and then from 1839 to 1845. His rule was marked by authoritarianism, militarism, and growing resentment amongst Ecuadorians towards a government dominated by foreigners. They complain about being foreigners. The Marxista Revolution in 1845, led by figures like Vicente Rocafuerte and Jose Huiquén de Olmedo, overthrew Flores and ushered in a new liberal constitutional era. However, Ecuador remained politically unstable, with constant power struggles between the liberals based in Guayaquil and conservatives based in Quito. Conservative theology. In 1859, amidst a civil war and Peruvian invasion, Gabriel Garcia Moreno rose to power, establishing a Catholic theocracy. As president from 1861 to 1865, and then again in 1869 to 1865, he made Catholicism the official state religion. He strengthened ties with the Vatican, and he instituted conservative educational and social policies. He modernized infrastructure, including roads and railways. Garcia Moreno was assassinated in 1875 by liberal opponents and is considered a martyr by conservatives and a tyrant by liberals, even to this day. So then there was the Liberal Revolution, and that was in 1895, the Liberal Revolution, which was led by a guy called Eloy Alfaro. That marked a dramatic turn in the separation of church and state, the legalization of divorce, modern secular public schools, and the construction of the Trans-Andean Railway from Guayaquil to Quito. Alfaro served 2 terms as president and became a symbol of Ecuadorian liberalism. He was overthrown and brutally murdered in 1912. Not great, really. He was murdered by a conservative mob in Quito. His body was dragged through the street and burned. Anyone who's read or watched the TV show 100 Years of Solitude, which is based in neighboring Colombia, will know of the battles between the liberals and the conservatives around this time. Then there was from 1912 to 1948, Ecuador entered a long period of, instability, cloud cuckoo land, military coups, frequent changes in governments, economic crises linked with declining coca exports. By 1941, Ecuador was fighting a war with Peru and lost almost 1/3 of its territory along the Rio Protocol, a bitter national humiliation that still resonates to this day. Political turmoil culminated in military interventions and provisional justice throughout the 1930s and 40s. But then we enter the post-war democratic period and populism. So Galo Plaza, he was in charge from 1948 to 1952, and a US-educated moderate who brought a rare period of stability and economic reform to the region. The rise of populist leaders like Jose Maria Velasco Ibarra, who was elected president 5 times but only completed 1 full term, reflected deep popular discontentment with elites. Ecuador's economy remained dependent on agriculture, particularly bananas, but poverty, inequality, and underdevelopment persisted. But you don't want to be a banana republic owned by the United Fruit Company. I'm going to do a whole thing about the United Fruit Company probably when we get to one of the other countries that was probably affected by it even more than Ecuador was. But it wasn't a great time. It wasn't a great time. So then they entered a military dictatorship. So let's get this straight. They had the Incas had just conquered the place. They were only around for a few years before along come the Spanish conquistadors. What do the Spanish conquistadors do? They conquer, they take it over, they say, right, now we're going to run things from Lima. and then that goes on for a couple hundred years, and then they say, no, we've changed our mind, you're going to run things from Bogota. That didn't go down very well. Then eventually there was a big push for independence, not just for Ecuador, but for Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, Chile, Bolivia, Paraguay, Argentina, Uruguay. Eventually, all of the Spanish-held territories, eventually one by one, became independent, all part of a larger area like Gran Colombia, which comprised of what's now Ecuador, Colombia, Panama, Venezuela. And then that broke up into 4 constituent parts in the end. And then they had periods of instability, fights between the liberals and the conservatives, and then they have a period of military rule, then they had an unsuccessful war against Peru, and then they had a fairly decent leader for a little bit, but then we had the military dictatorship. From 1963 to 1979, Ecuador endured a series of military governments, especially during the oil boom of the 1970s. The 1972 to 1976 dictatorship of General Guillermo Rodriguez Lara used oil revenue to build infrastructure, modernize the armed forces, and launch state-owned enterprises. However, corruption and economic mismanagement eroded support. So then from 1979 to 1998, we had a period where that's called the return to democracy. But this led to more economic turmoil. I'll get to it. A new democratic constitution in 1979 marked Ecuador's return to civilian rule. The 1980s and 1990s were plagued by the foreign debt crisis, the hyperinflation. They also had currency devaluations, which led to them taking the US dollar as their currency. Political instability, with several presidents impeached or forced to resign. In 1998, a border conflict with Peru was finally ended with a peace agreement, resolving decades of territorial disputes. So in 2000, after a catastrophic financial collapse, Ecuador abandoned the sucre, which is the name of the currency, and adopted the US dollar as its official currency. Massive protests and indigenous uprising against austerity followed. President Jamil Mahuad was overthrown in a civic military uprising and replaced by Vice President Gustavo Noboa. This era saw 7 presidents in 10 years, with power constantly shifting and confidence in democracy pretty much collapsing. The Correa era started in 2007 with Rafael Correa, who was a US-educated economist, and he was elected on a platform of a citizens' revolution. His government rewrote the constitution in 2008. They increased social spending. They reduced poverty. They took a hard line against US influence and multinational corporations. They gained global attention for protecting the Amazon and also offering asylum to Julian Assange in Ecuador's London embassy. The critics accused him of authoritarianism, media control, and judicial interference, which I don't think they're wrong about. But, you got to take the rough with the smooth. He left office in 2017, but remained politically influential. Next up was Lenin Moreno, which was Correa's chosen successor, dramatically reversed Correa's policies. He reopened ties with the US, restructuring debt and implemented austerity. More austerity. In 2019, massive protests erupted against IMF-driven fuel subsidy cuts led by indigenous movements and students. Moreno's approval collapsed and he did not run for re-election. In 2021, Guillermo Lasso, a right-wing banker, won the presidency amid a pandemic and the economic downturn. An uptick in gang violence and drug trafficking, especially in coastal cities, saw a dramatic rise in prison massacres, a conflict with the National Assembly and opposition. And in 2013, facing impeachment, Lasso invoked the Muerte Cruzada clause, dissolving the legislature and calling early elections. Fernando Villavicencio, an anti-corruption candidate, was assassinated during the 2023 campaign. In a runoff, David Noboa, a young businessman from a banana empire dynasty, defeated the leftist candidate Luisa Gonzalez. Sworn in as Ecuador's youngest ever president in 2024, Noboa pledged to tackle crime, corruption, and revive investor confidence, but faces a fractured Congress and high expectations. So there you go. Everything you want to know about Ecuador, but we're afraid to ask. So I've rattled on for long enough, I feel, without taking you, my friends, my dear friends, on a little adventure. Should we go to a little adventure to a place called Ecuador? Do you want to go to Ecuador? Should we go to Ecuador? Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of videos. One is from 2002. And the other one is a shorter one. It's when I was on the Odyssey expedition, and it's a lot shorter. It's not as long. Oh, hang on. This isn't good. Oh, hang on. No, I opened the wrong file. I opened the file, and it's like 10 seconds long, and I'm like, I'm sure I made a bigger file than that. What the hell was I doing? Anyway, so here we go. It's about. Oh God, is it that long? Is it that long? Is it? Oh, certainly seems to be. Oh, hang on. No, that's not good. That's not good. That's not what I want. Okay. Now I'm confused. Okay, you're gonna have to bear with me for a moment, because if I've mucked this up, I'm gonna hate myself forever. Because I specially made a little video for you, because I'm nice like that, and it appears that I have not edited it properly. Oh, after all that, I'll tell you what, right? If I can do this, I don't know if I can. Do you know what's going to happen now? I'm gonna try and open up Adobe Premiere and actually do this on the fly. Actually edit it for you on the fly, which is something that I've never tried before. Graham, did you get to see a spectacled bear? What is that, like a bear wearing glasses? Does Paddington wear glasses? Paddington's from Peru. It's not part of Ecuador anymore. Well, Ecuador's not part of Peru, I should say. Lot of everything. So yeah, sorry about this, but I'm gonna have to run. So what I'm gonna be doing here is actually running a video from Adobe Premiere. I'm gonna try and get it to come up. This is gonna absolutely knacker any kind of like memory I've got, I think, on here. But we're gonna give it a go. Let's see if we can make this full screen. How do we make it full screen? I don't know how to make it full screen. I don't care. Do you care? I don't care. Let's just do it. Let's just damn well do it, eh? Let's see what we can do. Yeah, I don't think that I can make this full screen, but it'll do. I'll show you what we've got at the moment. That'll do. You can see some icons at the bottom. Doesn't matter. Okay, so here's my edit, which I should have put together as a separate video, but thought that I did put it together as a separate video, but clearly didn't put it together as a separate video because I is an idiot. So here we go. This is Peru 2022.
And I'm decided to get a bus to Quito, hoping that, seeing it's the capital, there might be an ATM there, or someone who changes traveller's checks. Hopefully. Let's see what happens.
Trying to change traveller's checks since 2002. That's an important statue. You can see that a lot in my footage. That's a statue of an angel that overlooks it. Coming in here on the bus. This is the square. This is where we were just in the square. We were just in the square.
I finally made it to Quito. I'm here. I'm just going to have a quick look around the old town. I'm going to go to the equator.
There you go. Bit of the old town. Whoa, facial hair is mighty there. I needed the shade. Yeah, it was a bit overcast when I was there the first time, which is a bit crap. The second time I went, it was really sunny.
This Well Pleasant Square is the centre of old Quito. And there's a cathedral over there.
Aha! Aha ha ha! No, that wasn't the same building, was it? Well, I mean, the old buildings are just absolutely spectacular. And there you go, there's the monument. There's the monument that we were just looking at using Google Street View. You look like my cousin. That's the monument of the world. And west of Greenwich, latitude 000. There we go, there's the east. And then we'll zoom out. There you go, Ecuador. That's me walking in two hemispheres. Isn't that cool? Isn't that really, really cool? That's some monument.
Well, I made it. I'm standing at 0 degrees. So I've got 1 foot in the southern hemisphere, 1 foot in the northern hemisphere. I better start making my way back to Lima.
How cool is that? This is a real flying visit. There you go. I thought that was quite exciting. Graham the Red. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, fade out from that. Right, I'm going to go on a train journey. If you're agoraphobic, you might want to turn away in a moment.
25 to 7 in the morning, and I'm going to try and get on top of a train.
This is the Devil's Nose. This is the Devil's Nose railway. And yes,
So I'm not the only one with an insane desire to sit on top of a roof of a train. All these fuckers. Jesus. I didn't realise there's so many tourists in Ecuador. Oh.
Lots of tourists. They had to put on another carriage on the train to fit everyone.
We're waiting because apparently another carriage is coming along.
Can't do this anymore.
That one.
You cannot
hey,
do
you got
this
space
anymore.
on the roof. This nice English girl here, Katie, helped me. And now we're ready to go. In about
really
2 hours.
Weird.
Yeah,
Katie,
about 2 hours. Just sit here.
Next to. She knows a really good friend of mine.
Van, you fool! Oh, bags in the spaces there.
Good beard, Graham. Oh, thank you. This is before hipsters were a thing, by the way. We're on a train. The train is moving.
Hello, give us a big wave. Hello.
We're going to town now. Devil's Nose Railway. Like I say.
Oh, that's the most fun I've had on a Sunday morning for a while.
You're not allowed to do this trip anymore. You're not allowed to travel on the top of the train because people kept on dying in like quite horrific ways.
Sorry, I dropped the camera. Hello! I'm riding on top of a train in Ecuador! I am, you know, look!
He's so excited, that's a really bad video.
But I am.
Hey, beautiful.
Right, well, it's 8 o'clock, Sunday morning, and I should be in church, but I'm not. I'm on top of a train in the middle of South America, drinking some cheap beer.
Yes!
Yay!
Cookie, chocolate cookie.
anything to hold on to? No. Sarah Davis.
Well, they're in good, more crazy than me, they're standing up.
People standing up, there's people walking on the top of the train.
Look. Sorry. Rooftop ticket collection.
Look at this guy, he's checking the tickets. He's stepping over. Nothing to hold on to. Nothing to hold on to. He's just, and the train's rattling along. He's just standing there. And there's death. There's instant, like, death. SG is like, this is terrifying. Yeah. Now listen, if you are agoraphobic, you're going to have to stop watching in a moment because it goes really bad. It goes really bad. Go away, you bastards, wave! Yay! Here we are. We're not doing this in India anymore, you know.
We're just coming back into a Lucy! We were here yesterday, do you remember?
I got there the day before. Sarah Davis says I'm having a panic attack watching this. Well, don't watch it, Sarah! Don't watch it! Just come back in a bit. It gets worse. Honestly, Sarah, please. It gets worse. Please don't have a panic attack. You're all fine. You're all fine. No gingers were harmed.
Right, after this stop, we're going over to the Devil's Nose. 2 hours round trip, and then we're coming back here, and then I better get to the border. It's all a bit of a race now.
Go, There's a lot of fun on the train, like you get pulled up by people, like the other people like pull you up. I've turned the volume down on this bit because we go around the corner and it was just dead screechy, and I hate that noise. You know the noise you get in the underground when you go take a corner. What if you need to pee after the bee? You just pee off the side, don't you? Oh my god. Okay, there you go. This is when it really starts getting a bit freaky. Sarah, please don't watch this. Please don't watch this. I'm not responsible for my stupidity. For the stupid shit what I has done. Oh my word. Here we go. I feel bad because you can't do this anymore, so anyone watching this go, oh my god! Anyone watching this? Anyone watching this going, oh, I'd like to do that. You can't do it anymore. Look at that. Look at that drop. Look at that drop. She's got the feet, and the feet are still on the box. Good job it's not an electric chain. Yes, it would have been shocking. Very good, sir. Look at that. Look at that. Well, not if you've got acrophobia.
There's a series of switchbacks as we go down the hill, and that's why we're going very slowly right now.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Riding on top of a train, people. Riding on top of a train. You know what? I'll try anything once. Yay, we made it! We're all still alive. Woo! That didn't always happen.
Well, that's it. Right, I've got about 48 hours to get to Lima, so I better get my skates on.
Okay, and now we're going to do. This is my travels from the Odyssey expedition. So let's crack on with this.
It's the 6th of January 2009. I'm in Quito, in Ecuador. Honestly, from all the South American countries I've been to so far, this has got to be the most picturesque. It is absolutely stunning. The colonial era architecture here is just flabbergasting, and it's all recently been restored to its original glory. The old town is just. It's just amazing, and all around you've got these hills where people live. They're all lit up at night. It's beautiful, it really is.
I wish I'd taken a tripod and just not loads of the shots. I was running around too fast in the first year. Oliver. We have a road. Well done, Graham.
This crazy angel on top of the hill.
See, that's what we saw
Crazy
before.
angel.
Everywhere you go in Quito, you can see the angel.
My name's Graham Hughes, and I'm in Ecuador.
Hey.
Okay, I'm in the back seat of a taxi now. I'm returning to the scene of the crime. The bookshop I went to last night, and it closed 10 minutes before I got there. So I'm driving back across town now. It's going to take about half an hour to get there, to go and try and get a new guidebook, please. Because I lost mine in Bolivia. So yeah, and then after that, I'm going to be hightailing it back to the bus station, which is annoyingly right by my bloody hotel, isn't it? And getting out of here, getting to the border, Tulcan. But I just don't fancy going into Colombia without a guidebook. I really don't. Note to self: Quito is breathtaking. Come back here with girlfriend one day. Right, good news, everybody! I found myself a new lonely planet! Yay! So I'm not going to make a big arse of everything over the next few days, hopefully. Like thinking that one
really
city's on the way to another when it isn't.
I can't believe I lost two.
It just seems like such a great city. I mean, obviously Ecuador is still relatively poor, as is most of South America, but you know, it just seems like a place that, you know, I really, really want to come back here and bring my friends here and say this is great. You know, obviously it goes without speaking that being in Ecuador, we're right on the equator here, but it's really mild. I mean, I'm wearing a coat. You know, I don't need to, but the climate's lovely. I mean, I expected it to be just absolutely stiflingly hot and sticky and humid, but it just isn't. I mean, this could be a day in England. A summer's day when it's going to rain in England, but still a sunny day in England nonetheless. It's the rainy season at the moment, so you get a couple of hours of sun in the morning, and then in the afternoon you get a load of rain, and then the sun comes out again in the evening.
Ooh, there you go. There's the angel again. Bus terminal. There you go. Not as good as the other monument. This is just a circle in the middle of a roundabout.
That's it behind me. That is the equator. That's the monument there on the roundabout. Saying we're at 0 degrees latitude. Latitude are the ones that goes across. Longitude go down.
So there you go. Now you know. Not that you cared, but now you know. So that was quite fun. I'm just gonna have to just get rid of this for a moment. Bear with me, and I'm gonna have to mute WhatsApp. Oh my god! People don't text me when I'm doing a show. Ooh, I've got a message from Abby. That's cool. Oh yes, let's do a show. We're gonna do a show about TikTok. Andor. Oh, cool. We're going to do a show about Andor. Yes. It's going to be cool. Okay. So anyway, yes. Well, I don't know why I'm checking my messages. I should be talking to you. Hello. So that's Ecuador. Sorry that we didn't have more footage from the time I went there on my Odyssey expedition. There was more footage. I just didn't have time to put it together. And it wasn't particularly relevant because I was talking a lot about my journey. But the thing is, I was talking about it while I was walking around around Quito. So maybe I should have thrown it in there. I didn't know how relevant it was, but looking back now, I thought, well, you would have seen more of the architecture and all that of Quito if I'd put it in. But never mind. So that's my 2 trips to Ecuador. That was 2002 and 2009. I hope you enjoyed that and it wasn't too terrifying. That's insane, says Oliver. No suspense. He obviously survived, says Anne. Yeah, but did everyone else? Imagine the fossil finds that could be found in those cliffs. Has anyone been on the chairlift on the Isle of Wight at the Needles? As close as I came to that, scared the life out of me, says Sarah. I have not, unfortunately. Sorry, guys, it's been a long day. Gonna have to rewatch this later since I missed all of it. Oh well, Duke, you can watch it. That's fine. Oh, we didn't get any super chats at all. I don't know why I do these shows. I really don't. But thank you for joining me today and this evening, talking about Ecuador. Go and enjoy your new Pope. I hope you learned something today. I learned something today. I really hope that you learned something today about the beautiful, awesome, interesting place of Ecuador. I hope you go there at some point. I really, really, really enjoyed Ecuador. I would go back there in a heartbeat. It's one of my favorite places in not just South America. It's like one of my favorite places in the world. Like I really love the country, and I'd love to do a trip and go down into the Amazon basin, and I'd love to retrace the journey of Isabella Godin. When I was talking about the geodesic expedition of the 1730s, the Franco-Spanish expedition to what's now Ecuador to measure an arc of the meridian at the equator. One of the younger nephew or cousin of one of the leaders of the expedition, he was a guy called John Godin. He married a local woman whose dad was the governor of Riobamba province, and she set off years later. They got married. He went to set things up along the Amazon for them to travel to France, and he ended up getting caught up in the 7-year war between Britain and France. And basically these two were separated for like nearly 20 years until Isabella went on this expedition, and she was carried over the Andes in like a sedan chair. She was left with an entourage of 40 people, including 2 brothers, her nephew, her servants, slave, these 2 random French blokes who turned up. And she was the sole survivor of this expedition, and she actually got back to her husband. It is one of the most amazing stories that's ever been told, and no one's made a film of it yet, or a TV series, but they bloody well should. Isabella Godin, de Gran Maison y Bruno, I think her full name was. But yeah, an incredible, incredible woman who... She grew up as an aristocrat, you know. She lived and she's down in the jungle. Everyone else was dead. She like tore off her petticoat. She hacked she took her brother's shoes off his dead body and hacked them with a machete and made sandals for herself. And she hacked through the jungle for 3 weeks to find a husband. And she found him. Just like OMG. And she was the first woman to travel the whole length of the Amazon River. Fascinating. Anyway, grow on then, says Anne Phillips. Thank you so much for the £2 super chat. Makes it all worth it. And Ori, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Thank you for teaching me something on my way home. Awesome. Right, one day we will all retrace the steps of Isabella Godin. And until then, I'll say thanks so much for watching. I'll be back in the morning, obviously, bright and early at 9 o'clock. For morning brew, and then we've got the agenda at 1 o'clock, and then we've got the Friday night social, which you all look forward to at the end of the week. So please look out for that. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the chat. Thanks for the super chats. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye. Woo!